Welcome to Alan Berry Reports TV. I'm your host, Alan Berry Labucan from AlanBerryReports.com. As many of our readers know, we've recently transitioned to where we're now doing more interviews on the show. And in these interview shows, we get key management from resource companies to come on and talk about their projects. Now we're in the middle of the summer here, so it's a little challenging getting everybody's schedules together. And so today we're not going to be doing one of our interview shows. Instead, I thought I'd come on and talk about some trends that I'm seeing in the markets lately that I think are, well, they definitely are key reasons that I'm as bullish today as I've ever been when it comes to commodities and resource stocks. And so without any further ado, we'll get on to that. One of the things that has happened since in the last week, 2 weeks, is one of the companies from our reports, Peregrine Metals, has been, oh, by the way, we're not shareholders of that company. They are a featured company in our email newsletter. We've talked about them on in past shows as well. Peregrine Metals is going through the process. They've been offered a takeover for the company at a substantial premium to what it had been trading at prior to the takeover offer. And this is instructive for several reasons. One of the key reasons is that it goes to show you that larger companies are still looking at using the checkbook to improve their resources, reserves, and their future mining plans. And not so much with the drill rig as in the past. And that's key, where the exploration companies really play an important key role in the industry, is that they are the ones that use the drill rig to go out and find new discoveries, and Peregrine Metals has definitely done that recently, and that's why Stillwater has decided to that they'd like to take the company over. Another thing that it really is instructive for is that we follow a lot of junior exploration companies. In fact, we think that when it comes to understanding where commodity prices are going in the future, you really have to watch the supply chain. And what's happening with the exploration front is a really good indicator of what's happening for long-term supply. Before you can start mining anything, you first have to find an important deposit, and then you can bring that deposit into production, hopefully if you find a major one. And that's actually been very difficult, or is getting more and more challenging all the time for us to find new companies. In fact, the last report that we did, where we added companies to our roster of featured companies, was in the first quarter of 2009. It's been almost a year and a half. And why it's been so long, that since we've added new companies to our roster, it's not because we don't want to. Part of the reason that we've been having difficulty finding new companies to talk about is that since we started the reports in the middle of 2005, we featured approximately 50 companies in the report. And in doing that, we've identified a lot of the really high quality stories out there. And so, finding new ones, that's part of the challenge. Is we already follow a lot of the really high quality discoveries out there. So it's, that's one thing that's happening. One reason that we're having a hard time finding new companies. But the second reason is that we're just not seeing those discoveries being found with the exploration companies and their drilling. It's getting harder and harder to find those new discoveries. And this is one of the key reasons that we are today, after we've watched a 10-year bull market for commodities, why today we're just as bullish as we've ever been when it comes to commodity prices. Because if we're having a hard time finding companies, exploration companies that are finding new discoveries that potentially could be future mines, that says a lot about the long-term supply chain. And our key premise over the last, since we started the report in mid-2005, is that we are looking for, there's two key reasons why the bull market has been so powerful. Strong demand coming from emerging and developed economies, and that demand is much stronger than the supply chain. And if anything, the supply chain in several commodities are getting weaker, not stronger, as prices have gone up dramatically in the last 10 years. Now, this is something that Economics 101 doesn't teach you, because what the normal argument is in Economics 101 is that when the prices of commodities move up aggressively, there will be more money spent to look for new deposits, new production will come online, and that will push the price down. If anything, we're seeing the opposite. As the prices have gone higher, it's getting more and more difficult to find new discoveries. That's why majors are, buying their reserves and buying their future with the checkbook instead of doing it with the drill rig. And that's a key reason that we're so bullish on the commodity prices. And now, we feel that felt and have for a long time that the best way to play commodities is actually through the resource companies, and we try to find high quality companies. Now, what we're generally looking for when we're looking at resource companies to add to our roster and what we would consider high quality companies is we're looking for companies that have discoveries or commodities in the ground that are not being fairly priced for the assets that they have, whether that be gold, silver, copper, diamonds, uranium, whatever commodities that we follow, is that we're trying to find those commodities where we can buy them in the ground for a lot cheaper than what you'd pay for, let's say, buying an ounce of gold or a pound of copper or a pound of uranium or a carat of a diamond. And that's what's happening right now. Is it's getting harder to do that, and that's one of the key things we're looking for. Is we're looking to buy resources in the ground that are trading at a discount to what the realistic price should be. Now, when we look at these companies, once we've sort of developed our roster, then we're kind of trying to determine what's the end game for these companies. In the sector, there's basically two main end games. One is the takeover route, like Peregrine Metals. They found they have an important discovery that looks like it has a great potential of being a future mine, and somebody's willing to pay a premium for that. And that is one of the big successes for exploration companies, is when they get taken over at a premium for what they've discovered. And we've been very fortunate in that front. In the 50 or so companies that we've talked about and featured in our reports, 7 of them have, we're including, Peregrine is still going through the process, but 6 of them have gone through the process and are no longer exist because they were taken over. It looks like that's the direction that Peregrine, they still have to do some regulatory approval and shareholder approval, but it's going in that direction. The other key thing that we look for in an end game is a company's potential to become a future mining company. We've had a handful of companies go that route as well. So, those end games are really what we're looking for. So those are some of the key things we're looking at. when we're trying to find companies to feature is, are we able to buy or to find companies that have resources in the ground, that are commodities in the ground that are trading for a discount, and then whether companies have a chance to be a future takeover target or a future mining company. And those are the key things that we're looking for. Now, because companies are getting, over the last few years, we've seen a lot of takeovers. Like I said, 6 or 7 of the companies that we've featured in our report have gone that route. And some are turning into mining companies. And, so there's less and less of those companies out there that have those kind of assets. And we're having a hard time finding replacements to put in the report after they've gone through that end game. And so, these are key reasons that we're as bullish as ever. Is we're just not seeing that reaction in the supply chain, where the supply chain is gaining strength. If anything, it's getting weaker as prices are getting near record levels. And that basically comes down to what's happening with the supply chain. And then you look at global demand. And, although we went through in 2008 a very difficult period with the global economy, it now looks to have turned the corner. We've had a year and a half, 2 years worth of pretty solid growth throughout the global economy. That is when the global economy is growing, they need they need commodities for that growth. Without commodities, you can't provide all the products and services or products that help an economy grow. And so the demand for commodities is growing as the emerging economies of China, India, and other emerging economies grow. Even and now the developed economies, Europe and America, are improving. Are still fairly tepid compared to how much they stopped growing in 2008 and early into 2009, but things are on the mend in the developed economies as well. And so demand is growing for these commodities, and the supply chains are weakening. And at the end of the day, that is the bottom line of why we think that commodities are going higher. Again, we'd like to emphasize that the reason that we have a very strong outlook a very bullish outlook for commodities, and an even more bullish outlook for high quality resource companies that have important discoveries or the potential to make important discoveries. We think that those are the better plays than even the bullish outlook we have for several commodities. And so that's some of the things we wanted to talk about on today's show. We're lining up we're lining up interviews for the rest of the summer and into the fall. And we hope to have some really exciting guests in the future. We really like doing those shows because it gives us a chance to ask questions of key management and gives them an opportunity to talk about the key things that the companies are working on. And we think that for you, the viewers, that's going to help you to understand these companies better and to keep that in mind when you're making your investment decisions. And so on that note, we're going to close today's show. But before closing, I'd like to stress that this show and our reports are for information purposes only. We aren't making buying or selling recommendations. It's important for you to do your own research and speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. We're always trying to grow our audience, and any efforts you make to let your friends know about our website, our emails, and our shows would be greatly appreciated. Also have to send out some thank yous. We use youtube.com as our main platform to broadcast and produce these shows, and they're very important in us being able to do these shows. And anybody who's interested in doing online shows, we highly recommend YouTube. Also, if you're watching this show on our website, you'll notice to the left and right of me that we have banners on our website. Those companies are really important in us being able to bring these shows to you, and we want to thank them. And also, if you'd like to learn more about those companies, you just click on their banners and they're directly linked to those companies' websites, so you can go learn more about what they're working on. And of course, to you, the viewers, without you, we wouldn't have a reason to do the show, so thank you very much for tuning in. As I mentioned earlier, we're lining up some guests for future shows, so we're going to this is kind of a format that we'd like to work on for the coming months, is either do interviews, or now we've got something to say about some trends that we're doing. So we're going to either do interview shows or shows on trends that we're seeing in the markets. If viewers have any picks that they think we should be considering for future shows, make sure and send an email directly to me at alan@alanberryreports.com. I'll do some homework on those companies and consider them for future shows. You can find all of our work on our website at alanberryreports.com. We hope you can join us for future shows. We'll see you soon, and have a great day.